So I'm live. It seems so. Let's check it out. Hello. Okay. It's all okay. So hello YouTubers and shields also. If I have a lot of flat earthers that love to be subbed to my channel. Seems they love to get some information. I'm flattened. Oh, he immediately run away. Good for you. So basically, around the world, we have this Middle East conflict that keeps going and going on and on. The interesting part is that this is all based on interest, basically economical ones, since you know that Iraq has already been conquered and installed the so-called democracy, which we are going to see what kind of democracy they also are trying to install in Syria. So this is, they basically want to control this area. So they want to go here to Iran next. But the interesting part about Syria is they keep saying that it's the North Korea that is giving them the weapons. So basically, according to the mainstream media, the weapons of the chemical weapons that are attacking civilians are coming from here to here, basically. Instead of, like many people are stating, is coming from here, which is supplied by these guys and also America. These guys want to control the Middle East and destroy all the democracies that are working free of their international banks. But the problem is that in the news they are stating that Iran is going to turn to the euro and forget the dollar. Okay, you are turning from a printed air money to another printed air money. So I don't see what's really going on here, since the information is humongous. One thing is certain: Syria, its president, is no longer seen for quite some time, since this November, I think. It was the last time that he appeared in public. So that's something that should be taken in account. So democracy is bringing this to the countries that they are supposedly liberating from fascist state or dictatorship. So this is what they bring to that countries. So basically this is very important for them because they own most of the constructive construction companies. They own the military companies. They own the banks. So for them, this is money. You can put the bling bling all around that destruction because that's meaning of profit with war. Since many people don't quite understand that these countries were civilized, they have a different type of so-called democracy. It was, one can call it a democracy really for the people, not for the corporations and the banks and all that stuff that we see around the world. And interesting thing about Iran is that it was the only one, the one and only, to make an international conference to review the global vision of the Holocaust. Which is very interesting, the Holocaust. The only thing that cannot be questioned in the entire world. And even here in Portugal, the ambassador of Iran went to the a radio interview and he questioned the numbers since for him the numbers were mathematically impossible to achieve in that period of time. And of course, all the politicians in my country start to complain. And the next year, they created the law that is present in many countries, also in Europe. The law that you cannot question and you cannot attack races and races, gender types, and all that kind of stuff. Interesting. They don't want to be questioned if it is a so-called truth. Truth fees no investigation. So all of this is very strange, and this is a good video for you to watch since Mr. Norman Finkelstein is promoted as a guy that is against the Holocaust industry, but still is protecting the narrative. It's the control opposition agent at the moment. And this video is very interesting because he denied to go to this conference to have a debate because he has had some demands. He wanted to know who were the ones that were going, and there shouldn't be any question of the 6 million number figure. So if you want to watch an interesting video, and you should look at the times that he compares the revisionist with the flat earth theory. Very interesting. He was already in 2006 making the addressment of flat earth. This guy has a lot of knowledge of what is going on. So that's why he making the controlled opposition narrative. Be very careful on who you trust. And also don't trust me. I'm not the one to be trusted. You should trust yourself. Look at the information and decide for yourself. That's how things are doing and should be done. So next we have this complete. I don't know what to say of this, but even NASA does better than this. So Putin, another controlled opposition, ruled by the same brain, and the media just loves to focus only the tentacles of the stuff, but never the brain. Don't touch the brain. Never touch the brain. Because the brain, if you touch the brain, you are touching the hand that is feeding you. So let's take a look at this missile. Oh, they bring the missile. Take notice that he has white and black stripes all over him. He launches. He blows up something here, which is propelled that way. We see a booster immediately after that way to boost that thing to there. Don't understand what happened here, but okay. And now we have this fantastic CGI of Russians of the missile. It's the same missile. Take a guess. It's not the same missile. It's an animation, and they love to use this as fear porn propaganda. Interesting. Because if you use logic and logic itself, you see the shuttle. They reach what 455 miles, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, but we have the Saturn, which supposedly brought took the astronauts to the moon. We have these prototypes, and now it seems that they are getting smaller. I'm not understanding what is going on since they basically are using the same methods of propelling. And the interesting part, you should take a look at these guys. These guys are needed to reach about 24 miles or a little bit more since they are dropped down. They are only to reach the minimal orbit. And now we have the intercontinental ballistic missiles, the so-called fear porn. So these guys are supposed to travel 1,000 miles or more to reach other continents and other countries, right? They do it by magic, I suppose, since this guy is the same size of these guys, and these guys reach 24 miles, 30 miles, 40 miles, since you see them being dropped down. And it's interesting because they claim that these guys can go all around the world, right? Fear porn, guys. This is to fool you guys. No wonder the Americans have all these bases. So if they have ICBMs, why the need of all these bases? This is the only way that they can control them with short range missiles that are real, and we see the destruction of them. But this is how they operate, basically. And the brain behind all this are the so-called Ashkenazi Jews, which are these guys that you see on TV, that you see in many places in America, in the Congress, in the corporations, in basically everything that makes money, they are inside of that thing. And they are basically derived from this tribe, the Ashkenazi Jews. If you research it, you're going to realize that this was a pagan tribe that converted to Judaism and also converted Judaism at their their, their way, and all the religions may be manipulated by them because this race is very well described in the Bible. And the Bible has many truths, and one of them is this: I know thy words and tribulation, as they claim victims, and poverty, as they claim they are poor. But Thou art rich. That's the reality. The control, the guys that the control everything of this, they are rich. And I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews, and they are not, but they are the synagogue of Satan. This is one of the most truthful words in the Bible, since the Bible has been very badly misinterpreted, and we keep losing the track of what really matters, which is being a nice guy or a nice woman. Especially the woman. The woman has very, very important role on this world, and that's one way of destroying this thing is to completely remove her from her path, which is her feminism, which is very important for any nation. She's the womb of the nation, and many so-called dictators in the past realized that, and they basically put the woman on his proper place, on her proper place, which is with, within her family, within her community, not to work and pay taxes like the man. That's why they implemented feminism to push women to be more male, and by that they created one more way of making another slave of the system. Since in the past times, woman was always seen as the family uh, family guide, the nurturer of children. But unfortunately, they are turning women in machines also, and that's very bad because women are very important to mankind. And men, they are basically turning them into a more feminized size, which is important for men to have, is feminine side, but not exaggerated that way. That's why we have the so-called gays, which are in many cases the mistake of the society and the ideologies that they present to the kids in younger ages, the choices that are presented that are anti-natural, since we don't see in nature um, the gay action. You only see it when, for example, dogs are embedded in human communities, and we know that dogs are basically the reflection of their owners. So no wonder we see in dogs the gay movement, but in true nature we don't see that. That never happens. The woman is the woman, and basically in many uh, sides of nature, woman is the, how do I say it, is the leader, some type of leader. You see in the lions, they have their community, and the lions respect her, and they basically are only there to breed. They don't do shit. It's the woman that does everything. But there are different cases. But the lions, I think they were also, nature has been manipulated by the humans. We have a strong connection with nature. That's why they don't push us towards nature, but they pull us away from it. And that's very important for us to look at nature and see the reality of everything. So once again, we are presented with an so-called liberator and a revolutionary. But if you look at his history and his quotes in his diary are not so very respectful and human, since he says some things that are not quite correct. And one thing that also triggered me more is the thing that he had in his childhood. He loved killing animals, and a person that likes doing that, it's a person that doesn't respect nature, and by doing that, I don't think he's a good person. And I truly believe that he wasn't that nice a person that the mainstream media presents, since everything that we see from mainstream media is kind of corrupted, you know. So this is very difficult to really understand the realities of everything. So, but the good thing is slowly people are waking up. The flat movement is completely grabbing any type of idea to stick flatter to it, which is very hilarious. I really do my laughs watching those videos. You really dig down to push your agenda. And maybe this video also will be put in sandbox mode, since it's very interesting that my streams are the ones that are completely stagnated. Nothing happens. I even changed the name of one and poof, nothing happened. It's very interesting. And I think this guy also did the same to his video and tried to grab more views. But the YouTube algorithm is, like he says, the correct algorithms and soft censored. But this video is very interesting, and it's good to see people waking up to the brain and forgetting the tentacle. That's kids play. That's for entertainment. Now it's not the time for entertainment, it's time for information. That's what is important. So hope you chills enjoy the information and maybe use it in one of your logical fallacies that you really enjoy to present, and maybe have the balls to refute my videos about flat earth. But I know you don't have any balls for that. You want a paycheck. That's understandable. So remember natural law and everything that implies on it. That's very important. That's the most important thing, because natural law is the motor of existence. If you want to continue here in the materialistic world, having materialistic problems, it's up to you. If you want more, it all depends on your actions. No wonder good intentions in this upside world are always reciprocated with bad intentions, because the world is full of it, and that's the way it charges on good people. That's the only way it finds balance. So it's always up to you to change that unbalance. So don't expect a savior that already spoken in the Bible what is needed. You just have to have a proper interpretation of it, and you are going to realize that the savior is you and your friend beside you, and your friend beside you, and all around the world. We are all interconnected. It's only about the frequency. And unfortunately, those that raise their frequency and reach a little bit higher of knowledge are completely pushed aside and ignored, like Tesla. But instead, they pushed another Zionist puppet, a plagiarist that basically robbed information from this and that to make his own theory to fit the agenda, the Copernican agenda. The only two things that flat earthers are being truthful is in a stationary earth, which is correct. There's no there's not one single evidence or experiment that actually proved the Earth's rotation, but instead they detected that 30 meters per second of an ethereal, luminous ethereal movement. So the only thing that is moving is everything around us. Even even now, where you are, many things are rotating around us, and unfortunately, if you have wireless and Wi-Fi and all that stuff, you are going to be bombarded with non-natural waves, because this is all about waves, and they keep keep want us to keep us in the quantifiable world, one that can be measured and quantified. A concaver? No, that theory is it's impossible. The astronomical measurements and annotations of the planetary motions present us with a large number of kilometers of distance and the so-called celestial sphere is about 12,000 kilometers radius, and the calculations and the measurements don't fit on that tiny celestial sphere. They fit on a huge, gigantic celestial sphere. I even made a video showing that, but of course, people don't want to see reality. The only two working models are the heliocentric, which I don't believe it's true, and the geocentric, the neo-Tychonic model, with the Earth at the center, the Sun, and all the planets rotating around the Sun and rotating around the Earth, which I see more plausible. And like I was saying, the flat earthers are correct on the stationary Earth, like the concavers are so on the stationary Earth, and the distance of the bodies from the Earth, which our atmosphere acts like a lens. And unfortunately, NASA has a bunch of stuff out there, but they don't use it to measure, take measurements, look at eclipses, take photographs of the sun with a solar lens. Instead, they do monkeys and play music and whatever. They do everything but science. And why don't they shot the eclipse also? That's very important. Since they are outside of the atmosphere, outside of any influence, and can take clear shots of space of the moon. Is there any picture of the ISS taken looking at the moon? So something is not well explained up there, and I keep saying that up there we are talking. It could be glass up there, since that glass that is on the desert, it's not well explained, and that keeps me questioning if there's a glass up there. And it's very plausible to be a glass up there. Many glasses up there, since the Archimedes model is made of multiple glasses. But there's something in the electronics that's missing here. That's the prime of all of this. If you have that prime of understanding electronics, because electronics is the inverse of what's really happening up there. We are working with electromagnetism, and up there is magnetodielectrics, and we are basically also magnetodielectric. That's what creates the attraction to the Earth, to the magnetic Earth. We are attracted to counter space, which is inside the Earth. But once again, NASA doesn't provide us with the correct things. And another thing, why we have the solar eclipses, where everybody sees a corona of light around the moon. And we also see the phases of the moon, right? So why don't we see even a single tiny glare of light when the moon is passing in front of the sun, like it does in 28, 29, 28 or 29 days? Well, I think it's between those two, but she does in those days one passage in front of the sun. And sometimes we have an eclipse. At the other time, but All the other times we don't have one tiny bitty shiny of light. How is that possible? We should have even a little bit of tiny spot of light to detect that the moon is passing in front of the sun. And we never saw that. So in science, it's very impossible to achieve anything because it's highly controlled by the Zionists also. So they have the fantasy, quantum magic, and people in electricity still are questioning what is in fact electricity, which is very interesting. We are using electricity. Send me a private message and I will give you the link. Okay, I'm gonna check it. Let me copy the link. So let's go to the messages. Nope, I still haven't got your message. Interesting. Nope. I'm refreshing and no, you send me a message in here in the YouTube in the about. I was feeling kind of low. Don't tell me, since I know that many of my comments disappear out of nothing. I like to be ghosts. It's very interesting. You send it already? So basically, like I was telling, science is very corrupted, like politics, like finances. We are dealing with money that is worthless. That's why we have people getting explored while others are getting rich as fuck. So, and there was somebody that I think it was the most correct one, and even today it's the most demonized one. Even those so-called truth channels still use that uh, narrative, that controlled narrative, to present some truth fact for, which is interesting that they mixed the truth with a blind lie, so that the blind lie will stick to the truth and you eat both of them as truth. Very interesting technique. So, can you find my message button, or let me show you instead? Let me turn on again the screen share. So, let's see. Am I screen sharing? Yes. So you go to my channel. In the main page of my channel, you have the about. Let me change this to English so it's more. I cannot change it here. Hmm? I cannot. Can I change it here? Okay, I can change it here. Where is English? I prefer the UK one. So you go to my channel. You go to my about, and I expect you to have something. Oh, I think I cannot show it in my channel. Let me see on another channel. Let's see this one. I can, I remember I cannot show it in on mine. I can show it here. You see this? Most of the channels in the about have this icon. You click it here, you can send a message. So now I can reply you the link. That's how it works. And I think my thingy is there. I hope. I don't know. My channel is very crazy, especially my list of subscribers are very interesting. Let's check out my top subscribers. Are you having a brain freeze, computer? I think he was having a brain freeze. Is it today, tomorrow, or yesterday? Can you open the page, please? He doesn't want to open the page. Okay. We'll be waiting right here for you to decide to open the page. I don't think it's my computer. I believe it's my lousy internet provider. Which all are connected to the same. They are only affiliates. Oh, finally. So my community and my subscribers, my most popular ones. This guy raised his subscribers like crazy. And interesting, many of them are the top. The top five are top flat earthers. Interesting, right? And the rest follows also. I have the majority are still flat earthers. You don't have the option from your phone. Well, that's unfortunately because I'm not interested in putting the link here in the chat box. It's very, very stupid of the application not having that option. Well, Zion2 loves to block. At least you can see my email there. You can send it to my email, and I can email it to you back. That could be the last resort, or I can put my email here and you send it to my email. We could do that also. Well, returning to where I stopped about science, and science is not providing the correct answers for especially space, since they know that space is the final frontier. Star Trek loves to start with that statement. They know it. There's a lot of energy up there. A lot of energy up there that are not properly used, and we are still using hybrids because they are quantifiable. And I I strongly believe that they are harmful since nature doesn't really work on electromagnetism, but strongly works on magnetodielectrics. So somehow it could be harmful. But since science doesn't want to research that path of understanding, they really enjoy driving you on the circular roads, leading people to nowhere and full of imagination. So that's basically the reality today. And if you somehow deviate a little bit from the narrative of the masses, that's when you gonna get some troubles with zombie people. Because that's a problem. There's a lot of zombie people, and they even mock you in the Walking Dead series. Why do you think? Who do you think are the zombies? And who do you think are the fighters? The fighters are the guys that are fighting the truth, and that's why they are painted in that survival instinct as they are characterized on that series. And the zombies, of course, represent the masses. That even the masses will gonna fight them because they are brainwashed. So they mock you in plain sight in TV, and you applaud and buy the DVDs and the merchandise, the franchising. You feed them basically, and then complain, hey, the world is so full of bad and this and that, because you are helping it by conceding it and not saying no, stop, no more. I'm not going to feed the beast. But no, you think money is your salvation. Yes, money could be your salvation if the governments and the nations followed a standard that could not be in any way influenced by inflation or deflation, like even gold or silver is, because it's in the market, in the stock market. And if we have banksters, Zionist banksters controlling the market, and if you have gold and silver, you are going to be subjected to their rules. So the only one that cannot be destroyed by those fabrications like inflation and deflation are work. If your money is standardized on work, then you have a nation that is going to grow. And we have a big example where that happened. It's not hard to find it because there's a lot of evidence out there about it. It's not very difficult to realize which nation was that. And that's why that nation had to be put down, almost annihilated by the ones that started the war, basically. So, if you see economical, you are going to understand where you need to standardize your money, your trading paper, which should be only that. And your wealth should be represented by your potential, not on corruption, but on helping the community. That's how it works. But no, and this thing that Trump was trying to do, trying now is I think he's implemented it. The thing about the taxation of importation imports, which is very good for the economy of the country because it obliges to gain resources in their own country and don't depend on the others and create more jobs and bring more health to the economy. So, but that also can be a backstabbing on the rest of the economy, since many countries are depending on their exports to America on metals. So there's always two sides of the coin to analyze. And if you keep going on the media narrative, you're not going to follow the truthful path. So it seems he could not find my email or reply. Okay. Well, almost 1 hour. I'm gonna end soon also. So maybe next time. So hope you chills enjoy the information and Hope I see it out there being used in some logical fallacy so I can have some my laughs. And for those that are really looking for the truth, it's simple. First, start with yourself, with your actions, with your thoughts, and slowly things will start to fit in slowly. This is a slow process, so don't expect to have explosions of knowledge in a short period of time. But the good part is that slowly, many people are getting there. Oh, and by the way, this global warming is not going very well in Europe since it's all covered in snow, and here is raining, and cold since I'm feeling a little bit chilly. So I think I made a good presentation here, exposing some logics and some facts to show my perspectives. And I imagine if I was promoting flat Earth, now I would have a lot of people around me, which I didn't like much since it's the bad side of being famous. You have a lot of people around you, and you lose control of who to trust or not. It's better to have few but good than to have a lot and you don't know really many of them. So I prefer this. I'm sad that I cannot have proper communication in this channel and also in other channels, but that's the way they play with things. They love to keep the things upside down. That's the important part of it. It must stay upside down. That's the way you work. You put sociopaths on power, and bad people are the demons. That's how you put the world upside down. And people really think they are voting for difference. Even here in my country, the so called National Socialist Party, what a bunch of perverts and wackos that they are there. Complete racists. And the National Socialism idea is not racist, it's national. The name says it all. It's nation. Defend your nation. Defend the land where you are born. Work for your nation. Nourish your nation. Make it bigger. That's National Socialism, not all the bullshit that the mainstream media is presenting out there. You can look it up on Google. Look it up at SS, and you're gonna find Arabs, Indians, black people, Chinese, who you name it. A lot of people. Hitler wasn't a racist, but instead the mainstream media loves to push the demon side. The demons are the ones pushing all of this agenda of wars and killings and these fascist groups, the The moderate ones. Moderates. If they are moderates, I'm a devil. This is all to control nations that had sovereignty. That's the problem. America lost its sovereignty a long time ago, since they gave the ability to control the money to the Khazarians, the Zionists. Those guys just want revenge. If you read history, you're gonna understand why they want revenge on people. Those guys were kicked from many nations, and then they look for the opportunity to come to America with the Europeans, and they did so. They helped create America. But the problem is, America wasn't properly created on the image of the Americans, the so called European Americans and the African Americans, which were the Khazarians that brought them there. So it was not the Europeans, it was the Khazarian Europeans that brought them to America. They destroyed tribes. They tried to destroy China with the opium. They destroyed many tribes with alcohol. Basically, those guys are really the synagogue of Satan. So, if the Americans don't start to point their fingers to the real problem and stop being distracted with all the distractions that are out there just for that effect, and they are going to be in trouble. And this is all about your spirit, your way of living, your thoughts, your open mindedness. With that functioning, you are on the right path. If you don't have that functioning, you are still stuck to the ground. That's what they really want. So when I'm done here, hope it was entertainful, and see you next times on the next videos. Peace.